This is Dementia Air Network, brought to you by Beyond Dementia Coalition, and I'm your host, Bruce Leyton. This interview is part of our 2025 Symposium interview series, recorded during the second annual Northeast Georgia Dementia Symposium, hosted by Beyond Dementia Coalition and Alzheimer's Association. I am honored to welcome Kim Franklin and Mary Caldwell. Kim is a senior manager of programs and services with the Alzheimer's Association, the Georgia chapter, I should point out, and that's where we are. We are in Georgia today. And Mary is a gerontologist with the Skylark Senior Center. So thank you for being with us. Have you given your presentation yet?
We've given one. We're doing another one this afternoon.
So, early insights and emerging solutions through early diagnosis. Early diagnosis, I hear that repeatedly. I'd love to know how it plays out in your mind in terms of why it's important.
So we're focusing on early detection, early diagnosis, just because it is so important for people to get a diagnosis early on so that they can start to take the steps needed to plan for the future, number one, get some of their affairs in order, whether that be financial, legal, help be an active care partner and planner in what they want to happen in the future. And then also with some of the new drugs that have come out in recent time, to be a candidate for those infusion treatments, you have to be pretty early on in the disease process to even be considered a candidate for those medications. So it's an exciting time in research and things that have come to market, but again, just focusing on that early detection and early diagnosis is key.
Yeah, anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I would say just like any other disease process or disease progression, if you think about cancer, breast cancer, for many years there was this big push, get in, make sure you do your yearly exam. We're talking about people getting their Medicare as part of their annual Medicare wellness exam, that they speak with their doctor and there's supposed to be a cognitive screening as part of that exam, and it's just very important to do that. So there are many reasons why early diagnosis is important, and now especially so because, as Kim said, because of the available treatments if the diagnosis is Alzheimer's disease.
So often I hear of denial, or maybe somebody isn't sure if they're actually in cognitive decline as opposed to normal, cognitive decline that happens with age. So they might be experiencing mild cognitive impairment and the symptoms that arise with that, but either they or family seem to be in denial. So do you find that there's resistance generally to going to get that early diagnosis, and is a conversation about it important? How do you do that? Those are probably 3 or 4 questions I just tossed.
Right. I'd like to say, so as someone who does dementia care navigation and has for many years, I was with the Alzheimer's Association previous to coming to Skylark, and did care consultation and worked through the Georgia Memory Net to give care consultation to everybody that went to a Georgia Memory Net if they wanted to take advantage of that, right? The association very generously does that. I would say that in my experience, really, people know. There is a difference between the brain changes that we have in normal aging and these symptoms that are pointing to a deeper, and that is a change in behavior and thinking. So oftentimes you'll hear family members say, I saw this 5 years ago. I knew something was wrong 5 years ago. It's just there's a trepidation because of the stigma of the word Alzheimer's. And really, Alzheimer's is simply the most common type of dementia. It's not the worst dementia. I say to people, there are some that could be more challenging than that. But in my opinion, there's no such thing as a worse dementia. And we're thinking about this image we have of an older person in the corner, drooling as as Alzheimer's. And that is just not Alzheimer's today, unless, like you say, you don't get a diagnosis and you don't get support, which can be, the treatment for Alzheimer's, although we do have now pharmacological interventions like the infusion treatments, there is still a lot of healthy lifestyle intervention and other things that you need to be doing. And the combination of those things are extremely powerful. And we see that it delays progression.
By the way, I hear the passion in your voice, and
Thank you.
It sounds like you are doing some stigma busting out there, which is pretty heavy duty work.
Well, if it's going to save some pain and suffering, then I definitely want to do it. I don't think there's enough clear and transparent talk.
Tell me about My Al's journey. Go.
So the Alzheimer's Association has launched an app that is called My Al's Journey, and it's an app that is for people living with early stage Alzheimer's or dementia. Once you get a diagnosis, the hope is that people will download the app. You can click on whether you're the care partner for the person that's been diagnosed or whether you're the person living with, and it kind of takes you through different things throughout the app. There's videos on there of other individuals living with Alzheimer's that are part of our early stage advisory council. There's lots of resources on there. There's like things about how to deal with the feelings that have come with the diagnosis. So it's curtailed to people that have just been diagnosed and how to kind of navigate this diagnosis.
I hear the passion of both your voices. You're both doing, some incredibly hard work also, but feels like you're uplifted by it as well. What motivated you to be in this work, and what sustains you in this work?
Well, personally, my grandfather had Alzheimer's disease, but it was back in early 2000s, so they knew a lot less about things then, and the diagnosing was not as easy, I would say, as it is now to get that thorough diagnosis. So first they said that he had normal aging, and it was just, old timers type of thing. And then they went on to give it a dementia diagnosis, just general. And then when he was in the later stages, they finally called it Alzheimer's disease. So again, it was a long time ago, so it wasn't as easy to get a clear diagnosis as it is now. But I think that being a support person and, providing education and resources to families is so important, because it's things that my own family did not have access to when they were on the journey, and everybody felt real hopeless and didn't understand what was happening to him at the time.
That is one of the key words I hear constantly is resources. So,
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing your personal story.
Yeah.
Right.
Mary.
The reason I'm in this work is because I'm on a mission to, if I can and wherever I can, reduce unnecessary pain and suffering. People just suffer too much with this disease. There is no cure currently. It is a disease process. It is a particularly heart-rending disease, but Alzheimer's does not steal joy, does not steal love, does not steal family connection. And there absolutely, I have seen, as a clinical gerontologist in practice, and I mean clinical settings like adult day health, so working alongside nurses. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse. But I have seen that this reduces, a progression, and that it also helps people maintain a quality of life. I can't get off this podcast without telling you that we have an early stage group in Dunwoody. Really, right now we're focused in Dunwoody. We've been there for about 9 years. It's a support group for the dyad, which would be the person living with dementia and their care partner. And then we have a supper club attached to that. So 2 times a month we're getting together. And it is the most amazing community of families that are living through this. It's a true community. It is transformative and life-changing. And so I want to give hope, and that's why I'm here. I'm passionate about that.
I hear that, Mary. Thank you so much for being with us. Kim as well. We'll speak soon.
Thank you.
We hope this brief but meaningful conversation offers a vital perspective on dementia care, advocacy, and the power of community. This is Dementia Air Network, where voices matter and stories connect. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep the conversation going.